Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So the Babylonian Talmud records a curious incident. Joseph, the son of Rabbi Joshua, fell into a coma, and everybody thought that the boy wouldn't survive. But one day, miraculously, he woke up. And upon reviving, the Talmud says that he declared, Olam hafuch ra'iti, I saw an upside-down world. What is above was below, and what is below was above. His father, astonished at his son's vision, declared, My son, Olam barur ra'ita. What you saw was the clear world. This passage has been a consistent refrain in my consciousness for quite a while now. I thought of it in early March of 2020, hearing the news of lockdowns and school cancellations. I remember thinking of it on July 4th, 2022, as I received word of the horrors unfolding in our community. And for the last 2 years, as the effects of that terroristic mass shooting continue to devastate so many. I remember thinking of it when I woke to alert after alert on my cell phone early in the morning on October 7th. And I've thought of it every subsequent day of this continued nightmare of terror, war, and suffering. And I've thought of it every day since the world shifted its focus, unleashing waves and waves of veiled and outright anti-Semitism, unlike anything many of us have experienced in our lifetimes. Beyond these particular moments, the waves of polarization that plague every part of our world, locally, nationally, globally, these further invert our reality. We're heading into an election season here in the United States, which threatens to sever whatever ties remain of our threadbare social fabric. Instead of catalyzing greater interconnected cooperation, our vast technological advancements have instead unleashed the forces of social deconstruction, a plague of loneliness and isolation, record-level diseases of despair, and a tribalist regression that should beckon to each and all of us as a cri de coeur for our human condition. The Olam Barur, the clear world in which we once lived, is indeed a fleeting dream, and as such, finding a steady ground upon which to regain our footing proves notably difficult, at least for me. There have been moments amidst our upturned reality when I have nevertheless felt the ground steady under my feet. And notably, most of those moments have occurred in connection to life here at North Shore Congregation Israel. Without fail, in the wake of every upside-down moment, our community has come to find not just comfort and consolation, but also resolve and recalibration from each other and from our higher purpose, to bring light amidst darkness, to be reminded that regardless of the insidious forces that would seek to pull us apart, we nevertheless belong to one another and can get through whatever we are faced with because we are better, stronger together. I am proud that throughout it all we have continued to support the Jewish community locally as well as around the world. In particular, with our dedicated Adult Mitzvah Corps volunteer program, our ongoing support and involvement with the ARC, Ma'ot Chitim, the Jewish United Fund, our sister community in Ukraine called Zviahel, formerly Novograd-Volynski, with whom members of our community speak monthly and regularly send material resources of support, all amidst the ongoing war that continues to rage there. And of course, our support of numerous organizations and causes and people in Israel. If we are not for ourselves, indeed, who will be for us? But as the important Hillelian directive continues, if we are only for ourselves, what are we? At NSCI, we have resisted the temptation to isolate ourselves and hunker down, which so often characterizes an otherwise natural response of moments like these. I am proud that we have instead continued to walk our talk of Torah, service, and acts of loving kindness beyond the perimeter of our own community, to be of service to the larger humanitarian needs of society through programs like our Feed the Homeless program, our work to resettle our 6th refugee family, our work going on literally right now with Family Promise, providing temporary housing to keep temporarily homeless families together right here in our building, our mitzvah garden, Thanksgiving baskets, Operation Backpack, and so much more. These acts in particular remind us that no matter the topsy-turvy condition of the world or what others may say about us, we exist in service of something higher beyond ourselves. And we cannot allow our commitment to that to waver. To do that is not only to abandon our core values, but it is to tacitly cede our agency to the forces of anti-Jewish hate, and ultimately it is to abandon hope. This week's Torah portion tells of a strange, seemingly obscure story of a person called a Nazarite. A Nazarite is a person who, when feeling distant from themselves, their higher purpose, even God, perhaps when the world felt upside down, takes upon themselves something called a Nazarite vow, which is essentially a time-limited vow of restraint and abstinence. In the case of Torah, from alcohol, personal grooming, even attending funerals, even of one's own family members, presumably in the hopes that during their term of asceticism, they will find awakening, clarity, and closeness to the sacred. Interestingly, the Nazarite is the only individual person outside of the priests whom the Torah calls kadosh, holy. But there's a tension around the idea of the Nazarite in Torah. At the time when the Nazarite's term, or the term of their vow, concludes, the Torah notes that the Nazarite is supposed to bring a sin offering, implying that some sort of sin has taken place in relation to the Nazarite experience. Now, medieval commentator Nachmanides, whom we refer to as the Ramban, he says that the sin comes from the fact that the Nazarite is ending their term of holiness. According to Nachmanides, they have direct one-to-one God access. In taking their vow, while the rest of the world is upside down, but their world is righted in isolation, why would they ever willingly choose to leave that elevated state? But Maimonides, whom we refer to as the Rambam, who generally disagrees with the Ramban, he sees it differently. Maimonides remarks that the sin offering is for having made the Nazarite vow in the first place. That in a desire for isolation and separation from the larger world, one is removing themselves from the fullness of God's created world, which God created for them in all of its beauty, in all of its upside-downness, thereby sinning both against themselves and God. So who wins? Well, the 19th century, Reb Simcha Meir of Dvinsk notes a subtlety in the Torah text which he suggests gives us the answer. In the first place where the Nazarite's status of holiness is mentioned, he notes that the text does not read Kadosh hu, the Nazarite is holy, but rather it reads Kadosh Yehiyeh, the Nazarite will be holy. Meaning that the status of holiness isn't attained in the experience of the person during his Nazarite vows term, but rather is experienced after his re-entry back into the full world, even if that world is upside down. Like the Rambam, Reb Simcha Meir understands that a person may seek out isolation and withdrawal for themselves as some sort of natural response or reaction to feeling like life is off kilter. But that act has some sort of sin in it, that the measure of a person's holiness only becomes possible when they return to a sense of balanced and full existence that only the messy, complicated, wide and deep, divinely created, sometimes upside-down world can be. I'm not so naive as to believe that our actions at NSCI can turn our world right side up again. But I do know that when we come together as a synagogue community in sacred acts of comfort and consolation, return and repair, we help ourselves and we help each other to walk stronger, taller, and more upright, even in the olam hafuch, the upside-down world. And in that, the clear world may remain the reserve of our dreams, but we can live in this world nevertheless, rooted in the values of the clear one. And in that respect, the path to the clear one might yet be revealed for us all. Shabbat Shalom.